Welcome to Creative Living, where we help you live your most creative life. I'm Jane Clouse. Now more than ever, people are looking for additional ways to earn money. So today, we're going to talk about side hustles and different ways to jumpstart your earning potential. But before we increase your bank account, let's see what's coming up on the show. We travel to the Red Rocks of Sedona for a hiking and yoga trip. Getting the 411 on spices and what you should buy. And grilling with Midwestern Meats. All that and more on this episode of Creative Living. Side hustle, side gig, side job, no matter what you call it, making a little extra money sounds pretty good to so many of us right now. Well, today we're going to find out how to do just that. Joining me is side hustle expert Veronica Bahn. Hey, Veronica.
Hey there, Jane. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on today.
I'm so thrilled that you're here because side hustle is such a big word these days. So let's start things off by just defining what a side hustle is.
Well, it means so much to so many different people because the old way we used to look at a side hustle is grab a quick gig. Uber, Lyft is more modern, but babysitting, baking, household chores, pick up a lawnmower and run around the neighborhood, right, and create a little extra cash. I like to define the side hustle as something that you do that you're passionate about, that you found that you're excited about, that you do on the side. You spend 5 to 10 hours, maybe 15 a week, but it can either turn into that safety net for you in life, or it becomes your full-time career profession when it hits those income numbers that you're looking for.
Have you noticed that more and more people are starting their own side hustles because of the pandemic?
Yes, actually, I read an article that said 63% of the people who are now working from home due to the pandemic are not wanting to go back to their current career or job, or they're looking to change their current career or job.
All right, so with that being said, how do we start our side hustle?
I'm of the school of thought that it has to come from your heart. So if you really want something that's going to take you into the next 5, 10, 15 years, and you have a skill set or a message, it's important to sit down and just brainstorm. It might take you a week to brainstorm. It might take you 15 minutes. But go to that person that you were when you were a child. What made your heart sing? What lit you up? What was the dream you had? And what did you go to school to learn, or what background do you have? And then ask some close people around you that you know and who know you. Have them tell you what they think some of your best skill sets are. And then start creating and talking to people who are business-minded and strategize.
So Veronica, tell us this. Once we've found our side hustle, how do we make it successful?
Well, a lot of people hire a coach and they bring in a mentor, a strategic partner, somebody who can help them plan, right? So you need a plan. And I don't believe in a plan that needs to be so drawn out and focused, because the best well-made plans often go awry. So be open to what that flow looks like. And you also need to identify that there's some work you need to do on yourself, because being an entrepreneur, starting a side business, being a solopreneur, takes some mental acuity. It takes some strength. You have to really know yourself and just really get in alignment with what your goals are and what you want to achieve. And I think for me, the number one thing that is very important is have a cause. When I started my side hustle 12 years ago, I was giving to a charity every month before we were profitable. Now, the reason I believe that made a big difference, because you've committed to that organization, that cause, or that charity, and it makes a huge difference. So for me, that's what's redefining the side hustle.
So in your opinion, what's the biggest mistake people make when starting a side hustle?
It is the get rich quick idea, that their idea is going to be so amazing that they're going to put it out there and they're going to be able to quit their job in 2 weeks. There's never a finish line when you begin a solo career, a solo business, right? A side business. But what I see happen often is your front row people haven't been weeded out and everybody tells you you're crazy and you begin to look at them. So you go into self-sabotage mode or self-doubt. Your confidence wavers. And that's the first mistake I see people make, is they give up on their dream when they're 3 feet from gold.
So great. All right, let's talk about you. What type of services do you offer to help people with their side hustle?
Well, thanks for asking. People can find me at sidehustleexperts.com, where I have for your viewers a top 10 guide to keep in mind when launching your side hustle or leveling up. I also do one-on-one coaching. I do group coaching, and I offer a 20-minute complimentary discovery call. We can brainstorm in 20 minutes and figure out, for one, if there's a fit for us to work together, or two, maybe I just give them one or two value nuggets that sets them on their path and gives them some coaching that I actually wish I would have had when I began in 2008.
Wonderful, amazing advice. Thank you so much for joining us, Veronica.
Thank you for having me, Jane.
If you want to contact Veronica, just head to her website where you can find tips on how you can start your own side hustle. If you're looking for a getaway with built-in social distancing, try visiting the Red Rocks of Sedona for some hiking and yoga.
Now through May is a great time to hike in Arizona. And one of my favorite places is Sedona. Come on, I'll show you. The scenery in Sedona is amazing. And with the vortex energy here, it just magnifies your yoga experience. Well, the first thing we need to know is when you're gonna be in Sedona. We wanna know your goals. What do you wanna just see beautiful landscapes? Do you wanna experience the vortex energy in Sedona? Do you wanna have a more meditative, spiritual experience? Everything is tailored for each participant depending upon your goals. So I want to know your fitness level, your background with yoga, the kind of hike you want to experience, the type of yoga practice. So, you can do a more like a vigorous vinyasa and a more rigorous hike to get a cardio workout. You can also do, more of just a mellow kind of Zen experience and, an easy hike and more meditative yogas. There's so much to do here. The hiking is endless. Outdoor yoga is a magnificent experience, but there's a lot else. There's shopping and art galleries and golfing. So yeah, I recommend a longer stay, but if you just have a day, we can definitely set up your perfect outing. It's very casual here in Sedona in general, and for your outing, you'll want to wear a pair of either hiking shoes or sneakers. Sneakers are fine. I definitely recommend a hat and sunglasses. Bring some water. For the yoga outings, we provide the mat, so you don't need to bring a mat. But yeah, probably a phone or a camera. Boynton is really popular. It's a famous feminine vortex here in Sedona. It's an easy hike. It's pretty flat. It's out and back. I think it's about 7 miles round trip if you go to the end of the trail, but you can just go out as far as you want and turn around. Can't get lost there, really. West Fork is very, very beautiful. It's unique here in Sedona because it's a different kind of flora that doesn't tend to thrive in Arizona in general. I think because it's boxed in this canyon, you've got all kinds of trees growing, pine, willow, maple. It's just like this vegetation paradise. We work with people who've never even done yoga. Our instructor guides are very well versed at setting up a private practice and experience that will both challenge those that are more experienced and be accessible to newcomers as well. Well, I definitely recommend check out our website, suryasedonayoga.com. And you can also give us a call, 928-284-0300. We'd love to hear from you.
Remember, when starting a side hustle, first, make a list of what you like to do and what you're good at. If you follow your passion, you'll be willing to put in the work and make it successful. Stick around, we've got lots more to come on Creative Living. We check in with Midwestern Meats to get tips on grilling. And what's the one spice you should always have in your pantry? Spices can add layers of flavor to our meals. But where do you start? And what should you always have on hand in your pantry? Chef Shannon gives us the scoop on spices.
Hi, I'm Shannon Smith, and I'm going to show you the spices that you should not be without. I'll answer some of your questions. So let's start with Spices 101. Some of the spices I think you should absolutely have in your spice cabinet are cumin seed, which is used in nearly every cuisine around the world. I use this probably the most in my cooking. Also, coriander seed. This is the seed of the cilantro plant, and it has a really nice sweet flavor that it gives to all types of different foods. Chili powder. I have lots of different types of chili powder, and it's wonderful for adding a little bit of spice as well as a lot of flavor to your food. I use ground turmeric in a lot of my cooking. It's got great medicinal effects. It helps with inflammation. It also adds color to your food. This is what makes yellow curry yellow. Also cinnamon, of course. This is a very important spice in many different cuisines. It's not only used in baking, but also in savory dishes. And then there's salt. Salt is absolutely a very important spice that you need to have in your spice cabinet. And there are many different types, but you need to choose the one that you prefer in your food. Toasting your spices is very important because when the heat hits those seeds and pods, it releases the oils, which makes them much more flavorful. And I do that in a dry skillet. I just put my whole seeds into the skillet, turn on the heat, and wait for it to have a nice aroma. I shake it up a little bit. Once I start to smell it, I know they're done and I take them off. After that, I put them into a coffee grinder that I use only for grinding spices. Once they're ground, you have a beautiful toasted spice. Put that in the jar and it's much more aromatic than what you would get at the grocery store. The question that is usually asked the most about spices is how long you can keep them on the shelf. When you buy a jar of spice at the grocery store like this, you don't know how long these spices have been in here. So it's important to take a Sharpie, write on the top of the lid the date that you open it. 6 months later, if you haven't used all that spice, you should throw them out and start over. If I only needed 2 spices in my spice cabinet, I think I would choose black pepper and red chili powder. Both of them are used both in baking and in savory dishes, and they add so much flavor, a little bit of heat, and sometimes a little bit of sweetness. Hopefully you've learned a few things about spices, so now it's time to get into your spice cabinet, organize it, and start using them in your cooking.
In many parts of the country, spring is right around the corner, and that means it's time for grilling. So joining us is Rod McConnell from Midwestern Meats, better known as Mr. Sizzle. Hello, Mr. Sizzle.
Hey, Jane, thanks for having me today. I'm so excited to talk about grilling. I love to grill.
Mr. Sizzle, let's start things off by talking about the best steaks to put on the grill.
Jane, of course, it's always a matter of opinion, but I'm going to tell you, I got a butcher shop, 20 years, 30 years we've been open. The number one steak that sells is the ribeye. And why does the ribeye sell number one? The ribeye sells number one, James, simply because it's the best flavor. Most people enjoy it as the best flavor. It has the most marbling in it, which creates the best flavor. So ribeye's number one, but all steaks are good. But 2 things. Number one, you got to buy it from a butcher, okay? And number 2, they've got to be an inch thick. Inch or bigger. You can't, the little dinky steaks, it's hard to grill.
Okay, I love that. So we walk into the butcher shop, which is where we're going to get our steaks. Give us some insider tips on what we ask the butcher for.
Okay, so first of all, you got to find a butcher. You want corn-fed product. We're talking flavor, right? We're talking enjoyment. Corn-fed is everything. And then you want to find a butcher that ages his meat. They age it. They age it in the cooler for 30 days. That's what we do. We age it. It just makes it more tender and more flavorful. Then when you're at the counter, you're looking at those steaks, you're looking for that marbling, the little white specks that are inside the steak. The white specks create flavor and tenderness.
Okay, now that we've got our steaks and we head over to the grill, what do we need to know to make sure we can get our steaks how we like them, whether it's rare, medium, or well done?
I love hot grills. You got to have it hot. You want to sear that steak. So I turned my grill on, I shut it down. I was in Arkansas last weekend, and my friend, I was grilling for him, and I said, shut your grill, I need it 600 degrees. He says, I don't even know if it goes 600 degrees. It does. So hot, you want to sear that steak. And then, they have thermometers and they have little fancy things. Here's all you need to do. It's practice, but here's what it is. Just take your hand like this, Jane, okay? And if you feel right here in your thumb, feel right between your thumb and your finger, no grip, right?
Yeah.
That's rare. That's your rare steak. So you're going to feel that steak. That's rare. Squeeze it a little bit, Jane, a little harder, right? That's your medium steak. Now, as tight as you can. That's well done. So that's the easiest way to do it besides the thermometers and all that. You just learn how to feel that steak. And trust me, it comes out exactly as you want it.
And when we're cooking our steaks on the grill, is there a rule of thumb for timing, or do we just do it based on the touch test that you showed us?
Jane, there's two things. Timing works, but steaks are different thickness. So I want to show you what I did here. I cooked a New York strip for us today. Okay, see that New York? Can you see it? That's a medium New York strip. So listen, inch and a quarter steak. I cooked it for 7 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, minute and a half, boom, perfectly medium. So once you start doing that and practicing, you get a good idea and it gives you a great baseline, and then you just work the touch test.
Work the touch test. I love it. You always talk about the importance of seasoning. What do you recommend for these steaks on the grill?
Well, of course, Jane, my company, I send seasoning all over the country. We've made it for 30 years. It's a salt, pepper, garlic base. It's just Midwestern Meats seasoning, but it's real simple. And as I've talked about before, I'm very simple. Pepper, salt, garlic, that's all you need. You don't need all the fancy stuff, the fancy seasonings. You don't need 3 or 4. Stick to what you enjoy. Mix it up a little bit. It does take a little practice to get exactly what you want, but it's really keep it simple. Is all I have. Well, I have one. I got a whole drawer that's just open in my kitchen. How good is that?
It's so great. It's so easy. Mr. Sizzle, thank you so much for all those great tips.
Guys, thank you. And eat better.
Absolutely. If you want more information about Midwestern Meats, just head to their website. If teaching is your passion, then you may want to look into tutoring people over Skype or Zoom as a side hustle. During the pandemic, virtual learning exploded, so why not check out tutoring potentials online? Let's see what's coming up on the show. We give you advice on selecting the right home for your needs and the perfect side hustle if you're crafty. If a new home is on your list, then one builder in Louisiana has advice on how to select the right home for your needs.
I think what makes Manuel Builders different than the rest is the care that we have for our customers. We really approach each home and each client with a mindset of how do we make this a great experience for them. Everybody's different, so we want to look at their unique needs and make sure that we can find a home that fits for them.
What we like to do in our homes when we speculate is make sure it doesn't seem cookie cutter. We want to add specialty features where we can and make it feel as customized as possible, and then you still have the opportunity to add certain amenities that you would like to see in your.
Most of our plans are open plans where you're going to have spaces from the living room to the kitchen all open, so you can entertain, have your guests over, still cook, watch the football game, do all that good stuff all within one space.
I love the attention to detail that they put into this. It's laid out perfectly. It's absolutely beautiful. The decor that they picked is just wonderful. I love the beams that they have. If you walk into that extra bedroom, they have the vaulted ceilings with the beams. It's just absolutely beautiful.
I think the home is gorgeous, and the thing I love, it's a home built for entertaining inside and out. But when you go outside, I think that's where the magic is. They have a fireplace on the porch. I haven't seen that built into it. An outdoor kitchen, so you can literally entertain outside, inside. This would be Party Central. This would be the place to host those family get-togethers.
Don't go anywhere. Creative Living has much more coming your way. We give you some ideas on potential side hustles. As Veronica mentioned earlier, a successful side hustle is one that takes into account what you love to do. So here's some ideas on potential side hustles that might fit your passion. If you're a social media wizard, then you should explore being a social media manager. Many small businesses don't have the time or expertise with these platforms, so they would rather hire someone to do it for them. Contact local businesses and offer up your services for a contracted monthly fee. If you prefer to do your writing in more than 280 characters, try your hand at writing an ebook. There are many platforms available like CreateSpace, where you can easily write and sell an ebook that costs you nothing up front. You'll then earn money when the book sells. Etsy is one of the largest resources for selling homemade goods online. If you have an item you make like soap or jewelry, digital posters, or home decor, consider setting up an Etsy shop. With almost 70 million active buyers on this website, you're sure to find a buyer for your products. And if music strikes more of a chord with you, then consider teaching others about the instrument you play. You can promote your music lessons through social media, and with the virtual world we live in, you have the option of giving lessons from a distance online or locally in person. No matter what your passion or skill, think outside the box about how you can share your knowledge with others while creating an additional income. Thanks so much for joining us right here on Creative Living. I'm Jane Klaus, and I'll see you next time.